Welcome to part 20 of Narrow Gate. And yeah, I know there's a lot of y'all wouldn't want to be doing this here particular kind of thing. Well, too bad, gentlemen. You draw the short straw if God chose you for such a time as this. This is what you are going to be doing because this is the last days and it has to be done. And this is the Narrow Gate, part 20. September the 15th, 2024 by man's calendar. So ministers, let me ask you, do you still think that we shouldn't teach what sin is from the pulpit? Be careful what you put in the pulpit. You don't know what they're doing. You best be vetting them like the Word of God tells you to vet them. That means checking in on them. Making sure they live in the Word before you put them in the pulpit. Certainly you don't want people in your pulpit that is teaching people to commit fornication. Certainly not. Anyways, we are going to jump right on back into this Matthew 13. And like I said, I'm going to recap verse 8 so that you'll know where we are before I jump on back into verse 9. But others fell into good ground and brought forth fruit, and some 100-fold, and some 60-fold, and some 30-fold. Who has ears to hear, let him hear. And the disciples came and said to him, Why speak you to them in parables? Now this is the disciples asking this of the Lord. Wondering, why are you speaking to these people in parables? He answered and said to them, Because it is given to you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. Are you paying attention? It's not given for everybody to understand the kingdom of heaven and the mysteries of it. It is only given to the children of God. Are you getting that? This is what Jesus himself said. God said this. He answered and said to them, Because it is given to you to know the mysteries, which means hidden fruits, of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. For whosoever has, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever has not, from him shall be taken away, even that he has. Now that's not talking about your earthly belongings. That's talking about what you have of the Lord, the fruits of God. And them that have not the fruits of God, the hidden fruits of the kingdom of heaven, these things are going to be taken away that they do have. They're possessions of this world, in other words. And God is going to bestow this stuff on his children in due time. Now, I'm not saying you can get all you want. Don't misunderstand. Things is going to be given out as is needed, just as it was before. all things common. Because all are equal in God's eyes, and nobody should have to suffer in the kingdom of heaven and do without anything. How is it heaven if your brothers or your sisters are suffering and doing without? Look around. You know people that are suffering and doing without stuff. How is it heaven for them if they're suffering and doing without? Think about that. You worry yourself because you can't have the latest this or the latest that. And some people are struggling just to have food every day, or clothing, or clean clothes, or wondering how they're going to get somewhere that they need to be. Wondering how they could. They don't even fathom trying to go to church because it's hard enough for them to even get a ride to places where they need to be, work or any other thing. And some people just can't afford to come and be in church because they can't afford to hire a ride to get there because they're barely scraping by as it is. Have you considered these people? Anyways, getting back into verse 13 of Matthew 13. Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they see not, and hearing, they hear not, neither do they understand. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah, which says, by hearing you shall hear, and shall not understand, and seeing ye shall see, and shall not perceive. For this people's heart is waxed gross, which means grown dull, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them. You understand what he's saying here? Look at this generation now. Look at the world now, the shape it's in. They don't even know that Jesus is returning. A good 95% at least of the world does not know or understand that we are in the last days, and they have no perception of these things. They do not know because their eyes are dull, because they have waxed gross. The love of many has waxed cold, and they don't know nor perceive, and they have no love for God in their hearts, and they don't love His Word, and they know nothing about it. And you know what? It wasn't like that there wasn't Bibles available to people and chances to reach out and grab a word, the Word of God. And you want to holler, oh, well, they're taking our word from us. Look around. You used to be able to find Bibles laying on tables in hospitals and doctors' offices. You used to be able to find Bibles in every hospital room. You used to be able to find Bibles in a lot of public offices. And it's been a long time since those Bibles were removed. But it's time for the nations to be deceived no more. It's time for you to see where you are. You have been given into His hands for a time already. And it is time for the Church of God to stand up and say no more. It is time for you to fight for Jesus. And how do you do that? By being His prayer warriors, by being His praisers, by being those who want to tote the Word of God and stand firmly on it and not be tossed about to every whim and doctrine. Because there's only one way. That's the apostles' doctrine. And how do I know? Because God told me. And how did God tell me? Because it's in the Word, and that is God. So, God told me. And no, that's not the only way He speaks to me. He does not just speak to me through His Word. I've heard His voice my entire life, except for that little jolt that I was going through some transition with the Lord back in 2020, and for a time I couldn't hear His voice audibly. And the only thing I could do was dig in His Word, because I knew I would find Him waiting there for me, and I would find deliverance and peace. And I did. But the devils had to be casted out. You will never find the peace of God. You will never have joy of God as long as you are living in sin and are toting around devils, because they will steal every moment of joy, every bit of peace that you obtain, because that's what they do. They don't want you to have peace. But Jesus said, I bring you my peace. In this world, you will have trouble, but I bring you my peace. And we are going to continue on in the book of Matthew, chapter 13. Still, because it's a long chapter. But blessed are you. Blessed, this is Matthew 13, verse 16. Just so you know where I'm at, because I've turned the page now and we're going on. But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. He's talking to those of us that are hearing Him, that know what time we're living in, and so forth, and that are understanding about the kingdom of heaven and things, whereas the world is blind to this. The word is only veiled to them that be perishing. Only veiled to them that are perishing. That is Satan and his angels. That is not the children of God. If you are striving to do the will of God, He will never toss you aside and just forget you. Just keep striving. I'll see you in the next part. We're going to continue this.